I just want to go over the public comment procedure, and then I have one more announcement, which I hope everyone will be happy with. The new procedures for oral communication are as follows. If you are here to address the City Council, Housing Authority, or successor agency on any item on the agenda, please form a line to my left or your right. Oral communications will be taken up immediately or soon after 6 p.m. after the flag salute, the invocation, and introductions. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to speak if they are speaking on behalf of 5 or more people. If you are just speaking for yourself, you will have 3 minutes to speak. If you are speaking for 5 or more people, we ask that those 5 people stand with you so we could see who you're speaking on behalf of, and that they remain in the audience standing while you're speaking. Lastly, as an accommodation to our disabled citizens, senior citizens, and children, we're going to offer them priority at the line so they don't have to stand too long. And public comment will be limited to 1 hour from the time it starts, for 1 hour. And if we don't finish all public comment during that 1 hour period, we will resume it again later on in the evening so we can get on with the people's business. But if it looks like there's just 1 or 2 public speakers to go, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up at that point. So,
stand before you. Stand too close and at home. It's like you're muzzled. Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
2, number 1 about this new standing thing you have going. We are the residents. You all work for us. It is right for us to respect you when we get up here. If I go over my 3 minutes and don't ask for an extra, you don't give it to me, you have a right to have me to sit down. But to have people, how many young people you see sitting out here? Our bones hurt. And if I have 5 people to stand up and represent to say, I'm going to speak on their behalf, there's not anyone out there that don't have a pain that they can stand up for 5 minutes. So Mike Batoma, Mayor Sweeney, Mayor Fajada, those are the 3 mayors I'm very aware of and work with, is that they were able to do the council, give our certificates, go into closed session, move the city forward, and was out of here at 9:30. The council being late at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, it is not the residents' responsibility and fault. And to me, you mean all the good in the world maybe, but it's total disrespect to the community. You know, we're not cows, we're not hogs, you know, we're not children in school and lined up to go into the classroom. Now, I understand you want to get out of here early, but you all have to look how long you all stay in closed session. Some people, when they get to talking up there on the council, don't know, just like me, don't know when to stop talking. So that's not our responsibility. I want this stopped. This is totally disrespectful to the city of Carson. Now, I don't think you mean to be disrespectful. You're trying to do things right that he messed up, but that's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. Now, I want to speak on the election. I'm asking for an extra half of a minute because I had to tell you, I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. How many people can stand up 5 minutes if I want you to stand on my behalf and stand 5 minutes while I talk 5 minutes? It's painful. Look on the side of that wall and don't tell me that's disrespectful to Carson. Them there's doing enough to disrespect this city. I don't mean to bring up him, but because of this election, we need some structure in this town. The election, I was with Hilton. That man worked hard. I'm so proud of that young man. He worked this whole town and still managed to minister his church, do a wedding, and do a funeral. And to have this election played with and have it gone on and on. Now, the city attorney and Santa Rita told me, and some people yesterday outside, that they pleaded with him to do this election Wednesday. He refused to because he got a suit against the city. Of all the people in this city, beside me, Jim Deere got a suit against the city of Carson. I'm asking for an extra minute because I have to tell you about these people. I'm speaking on behalf of the public there. You're going to have to get the doctor or a psychiatrist. I'm not saying this to be funny, people. Jim Deere's going too far. I'm not saying this to put him down. I'm not saying this to degrade him. He's dangerous. He's getting to the point he's appeared to be dangerous. When he cannot respect this town and no more than what no more than he's doing.
Your time is up.
I'm asking a question. Will you all help us? We need you all to get the attorney, a new attorney if she's not able to do her job, or someone to do something about this election.
Thank you. Next speaker.
All right. Just wanted to give anybody else a chance before me. Want to say thank you, City Council board members and all the other people here who have spent time in their life or have made a career in public service. Your contributions to the community are greatly appreciated. My name's Charlie Pessa. I'm here on behalf of Sully Miller Contracting, and I humbly and simply request that the city not approve item 33 from the agenda tonight so that our position associated with the award of project number 1043 can be properly investigated by the city staff, or I ask that the city take action to award the project number 1043 to Sully Miller Contracting Company. To start, the city has not responded to our protest letter that we sent to the city manager. In our letter, Sully Miller points out many flaws in Powell's rebid of project number 1043. Of these flaws, I specifically would like to point out that Powell has unfairly claimed DBE participation for work that does not exist in the contract documents and therefore cannot count such participation towards Powell's DBE goal. As a result, if this adjustment's made, Powell, by contract, could only be awarded the project if they submitted a good faith effort. And when we reviewed Powell's bid documents, we did not see that a good faith effort was submitted. Furthermore, we'd like it to be well known in the city of Carson that Sully Miller was notified by city staff of being the lowest responsible bidder in February of this year for project number 1043. But in this very building, right before the start of the city council meeting on February 17th, the recommendation to award such project to Sully Miller was pulled from the agenda, and the project was re-advertised and rebid. It should be well known that despite a clear reduction in scope, Powell's original bid for project number 1043 was $15.2 million, as compared to their new price, which is $16.9 million. When the city executes its right to reject all bids, the integrity of the public bid process is compromised. Powell was allowed to correct multiple mistakes in their bid proposal, and on top of that, they were able to add $1.7 million to their proposal despite a reduction in scope. This is not supposed to happen in public bid processes, and we rely on public officials to uphold and in many cases protect the integrity of the public bid process. We are not able to change what has happened, but we can certainly ask the city to take a moment to investigate our concerns.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Councilor
Evening.
and the administration. You haven't seen me in about 8 years, and you took me away from my basketball game. I have a big problem about the city that I've lived in for 62 years. And it have gotten to the point, I want to pass this to the mayors. It's gotten to the point where we have to fight for everything that come our way. And it's not good. I went to vote a couple of weeks ago and had a rough time finding my voting place. I got a call at 6 o'clock to tell me my voting place have changed. And I said, you're talking to the wrong man. Do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to Joe Bowman. That's my name. I didn't give it to you. Joe Bowman. I ran Charlotte House, I had 2 businesses in this city. And I'm a strong, strong man. I know when I'm hurt, and I know when I'm blessed. This city, I wrote a letter to Wanda. I didn't hear Wanda talk to me that day. I didn't hear from him. If you see, it's got it right here. Let me give you one. Give one to the attorney. That was so embarrassing to me. I don't want to have to go through this again where you're going to send me 5 places to vote and nobody know am I supposed to vote here or not. And it was really, really bad. Really, really bad. So my thing is this. I would hate to miss my basketball game. That's the last that I can say, but I'm going to be short. But when I get out and miss a basketball game, a football game, I got a bad knee now from playing football. You have stirred up a problem. That problem is with Joe Bone. And it won't stop if we don't stop it, our counselors. Because I'm going to take it higher. I know the people's in high places. I will take it higher. So please do your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Mr. Bowman, the city council had nothing to do with changing the polling place. You're looking at him right there, your city clerk.
Okay. Thank you, Lula. I wanted to say that, but thank you, Lula. You got brave. You're brave. You and the young lady back there, you speak out. I speak out. Everybody else seems to be scared of who we vote into our city, but I'm not. And thank you, Lula, and thank you for speaking out. If we keep bringing these people into our city, a football stadium, oh, make me laugh. I'm sitting down because I can keep going. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, while the next speaker is coming up, since I was addressed, I want to say that there were 3 schools. I want to respond to the accusation. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to respond to the accusation.
Order, please. Mr. Deere, there was no accusation.
Yeah, he said there
was no accusation.
from the councilwoman. She said the city clerk is responsible. I did not move the polling places.
Order, please. Order.
There were 3 elementary schools that did not allow us
Mr. Deere,
to use their school.
Mr. Deere, this isn't on the agenda. Can you please let the speaker speak?
So I was accused by the councilwoman, and she's lying.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, my name is Dave Martinez. I'm president of Sully Miller Contracting Company. For over 90 years, Sully Miller has been constructing the infrastructure of Southern California as a very integral part of Southern California's environment. What I'm asking you tonight is to do what's correct in the public bid requirements and the integrity of the process. My colleague, Mr. Pesa, gave some points earlier. We're asking you to reconsider those points tonight. Reconsider staff's recommendation, consider the bid protest filed with the city attorney, and award Carson Street Master Plan Project 1043 to Sully Miller Contracting. Our record in the city is impeccable. Our safety record in the industry is unparalleled. We are the lowest responsible contractor on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, and I come to you with a heavy heart. And for those citizens that don't know me, my name is Charles Davis. I have 36 years elected official in this area. I got elected city clerk in Compton in 1973 and retired in 2003. I'm currently on the school board of Compton Unified School District as elected official and serve the north end of this great city. I was on the College Board of Trustees for 4 years, serving the north end of this great city. I conducted your election that you had back in March. Yesterday I came here, and I'm going to read this letter to you, and it's with heavy heart that I come to you with this. Well, let me point out something. During that election, I had problems from the mayor ran for city clerk. On the statement of qualification, I had to tell him he needed to change the statement of qualification because he had the prior city clerk doing a testimonial. The mayor was supposed to write the argument for the measure on the utility user tax, and there were some issues with that, and he and his attorney threatened to sue me. Anyway, we prevailed. But let me read this letter to you. At about 8:33 a.m. yesterday, while I was in the north end of the parking lot of Carson City Hall talking to some of the Carson citizens regarding the events of the morning, I got an email from Jim Deere's attorney that he was filing a petition on behalf of Jim Deere for a writ of mandate and complaint for injunctive and declaratory relief in downtown Los Angeles court the next morning. That would have been this morning, naming me as a real party and others as respondents. Sometime after that, I sought out the city attorney for clarification and if the city was going to represent me. I caught up with the city attorney in the hallway between the city manager's office and the doorway leading to the bathrooms on the first floor. City Clerk Jim Deere came running down the hallway. He called out my name. I stopped. I turned. In his left hand, he had some papers. He extended them toward me. I took them. He said, "You've been served." And as he turned away under his breath, he said, "Nigger."
Oh, what a liar.
And
this man is a liar as far as you can.
And proceeded back to his office.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak after he's done.
I was between him and the city attorney, and I don't know if she heard it.
Honey, you were there.
She was in. I was in between you and her.
Speak to the mayor. Speak to the mayor.
I'm speaking to
Don't
the mayor.
address
Stop
me.
calling
Speak
me a
to the
liar
mayor
then.
and the council.
Just
please.
be quiet and stop calling me a liar. I will speak to the mayor. Okay? It is strange that a person who took the election responsibility from Ms. Gause, the prior city clerk, in the March election, is now crying foul and suing me.
Yes, your time is up. Yes, thank you.
Well, you know, it's personal privilege. You know, I get to speak, but I'm not looking for an apology. I don't expect one. It is not his nature. When he gets into serious debates with black people who he perceives he has power over, as he did with Ms. Gause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's a pretty extreme accusation for him to make. And as a fellow elected official, I would like to very briefly address that and deny, please.
Order, please. Order.
Mr. Mayor,
just let him speak very briefly.
Officially deny that I said that he's making it up. And the city attorney was present. I didn't say you're served. I said this is a notice, a courtesy notice, so he knows about the ex parte. You're an attorney, so you know exactly what that is. So the city attorney was present, and she did not hear me say that, because no one heard me say that. And anyone who knows me said I would never, ever say that. I would never say that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Next. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Wilson, and I have been a resident here for 42 years, raised my children here, was educated here at Cal State Dominguez, and I do have a complaint. Although I went to Cal State Dominguez, I did not know where this polling place was. But mind you, I'm not going to take away from how the facility looked. It was a nice facility, very nice facility. But I had no clue that that was the voting place. The sign, you know, it's kind of breezy up there. The sign was on the ground. I just happened to walk through some double doors and found some nice people who assisted me. But it was not a good experience. We talk about, and I've read in the Carson report where you talk about the city of Carson's position and statement. I just want to read one line, and that's the first paragraph. Carson is a vibrant city with a great town atmosphere where relationships are important. And I feel that our relationships, my relationships with the elected people, I want to always be at harmony with you, but you need to do the right thing. I'm not attacking you, Mr. Deere, but I know you to be a substitute teacher. I know that you know how to communicate with people. And when I got some of the mailing, I said, wouldn't it have been nice to put a red circle around there? What does red represent? It's universal. It tells you to stop. There's a warning. It would have been so easy to have done that. Do you know how much of this we get in the mail each and every day? And so happens it comes, and sometimes, I'm not blaming the post office, but sometimes all these things are stuck in these mailers. So I'm just saying, it might not have been completely your fault, but guess what? What you did send out, and I'm sure everyone can see the red circles. That would have told me right there, you better stop and read. We are known as a small town. Things move kind of slow here. I've been accustomed to things moving kind of slow, but when something jumps out at you, like voting, and you just take it for granted sometimes that, oh, it's in my same mailing place. Okay, I'll go there.
That's a good suggestion.
I saw so many people coming back from the polls. One person, he's a professor. You see him walking all over the city of Carson with his little dog. Well, I saw him. He could barely make it home that day. It was a nice citizen in Carson who took him up to Cal State Dominguez to vote, but he had to walk home. So I'm just saying that, I'm not trying to bash you, but we need you to be transparent enough that we won't think wrong of you, okay?
Thank you.
So that's all I have to say. I thank you for allowing me to come before your presence.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Next speaker.
Greetings. My name is Hattie Wadlington. I've lived in the city of Carson since 1970. I'm a retired teacher from 2 Carson schools, Broadacres and Broad Avenue, and I've worked for years working the polls. Usually, the precinct that I work has a much higher turnout. The people who did come to vote at Cal State Dominguez, I would say maybe every 4th person had a complaint. I never heard so many complaints in all my life. The facility was beautiful. It was awesome. We had plenty of space. I mean, I would really recommend that facility. However, they had such a difficult time with the directions, knowing exactly where they were supposed to vote. So somehow there needs to be better communication and enough advance notice so that the voters, they will come out if they know where they're supposed to vote. I'm telling you, it really needs to be corrected. But thank you.
Ma'am?
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Next speaker.
Sonny, I've got the list of the percentages for later.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name is Del Huff. I really don't know where to begin, but let me just begin. Tommy mentioned this new procedure. I do agree. This is very disrespectful to ask seniors to stand in line like that. If you will, I would appreciate it too. Perhaps you rethink it. What is the problem with us sitting comfortably in these new nice seats and coming up to speak? Maybe you can fill us in on that one. Let me say the election of the 2nd. I too have to echo on the north end. It was hoopla as the people came up to find out that their polling place had been changed. Many of them chose not to vote. Some, those of us who are residents, did give them a ride over there. That should not happen. I understand it's not your fault, but what I'm asking you to do, send a letter from the city to the proper authorities, letting them know that the residents in Carson were very displeased, disrespected, and displaced on that June election. The other thing that I would like to ask you to do, money is spent for a lot of things. To host another election,
Go ahead.
I am being disrespected, and I find it a problem that this is like a loose cannon, that there's never anyone that pulls it back or anything. I discipline my children better than that. I feel that the money that would be spent on another election or anywhere else in the city, it is important for us to put it behind legal action to rid our city of the cancer that resides in the clerk's office. There are derelict of duties that have gone on, and any time we have an election on June the 2nd, and today is the 16th, and one person is controlling everything here, it has been said from the council if there was a problem, and I first don't even see why we didn't go outside. After he openly endorsed someone, we still let him reside over that election. something is wrong here. He disrespects you. He has all evening. He got up and walked out when you were taking pictures. He cut across, not saying he couldn't have come across this way. He's playing with his phone. He sits here and talks to people. We respect you as our city council. Why is it that also someone else who works in the city can't be held accountable for those actions as well? We are asking you to please allow us to continue to respect you, our leaders, our city, and demand the same accountability for everyone. Everyone. This has got to stop. Even our children are watching this going on and saying, what in the world is the matter with this? How do you explain it? It hasn't been explained to any of us. And so I just ask you to please, please, in this episode of Looney Tunes that is branched out.
Your time is up.
City clerk's office into the rest of the city for everybody else to see. And
Thank
for
you.
us to continually be disrespected. You've got to step up and stop.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Don't start my time yet. This was difficult. I'm a senior citizen. This was difficult. Okay, Mayor and City Council, I'm here. Yesterday, Carson Citizens of Reform had a press conference, held one yesterday morning, and we was asking that the current city clerk step down, cease and desist in handling this election, this previous election. It's 2 weeks after the election, and we don't even know the final vote count. That's absurd. Now, we expect, there were 4 grounds. I am going to be preparing a letter to the Department of Justice, the civil rights, the civil voting rights section, because I do feel that the voters in the North were disenfranchised. This was African American community, the majority, and it would have just taken a few minutes to go across the street from Anna Lee or from the other school, Leapwood, and ask the citizens up there, could one of you let us use your garage for a polling place for one day? And I'll bet you there will be a lot of people willing to do that. We expect our election official to remain neutral. And this city clerk endorsed another candidate in this race at the Democratic endorsement process. We have pictures here of him at the other candidate's election headquarters. This is unheard of. Our city clerk should be neutral and above board. Now, all last week, the city clerk is attending a conference, which is, the City Clerk 101 type conference, which should have been taken at another time. And instead, my suspicion is he's delaying this voter turnout. I listened to the transcript. I listened to the meeting, because we don't have minutes, of the April 21st meeting in which Mayor Pro Tem Santorina, you said, hey, Councilwoman Davis Holmes, this is slander. This is terrible that you're saying this guy can't handle the election. So you didn't offer it to the other city elections official. And you said you would stand behind the people. If there was any appearance of impropriety, you would lead the recall. Please start it with me. I'll be happy to work with you. And most importantly, the most egregious act that was taken care of was on Saturday, when the city clerk got 2 deputy sheriffs off what they should be doing, protecting our city, on a Saturday, and had them escort him into City Hall under the pretense he's going to get some money from the safe or whatever it was, which he never did. He changed the combination of the vault that had the live ballots. There is a issue of the propriety of how the handling. I mean, this whole election's in conflict, and it will be stated to the Department of Justice. I think you folks better take charge and get us back and represent us. Thank you. Oh, there were 2 items on the agenda I want to talk about. One of them is the budget, and you're saying that you're giving the finance director, who's got very little experience, but I'm sure quite capable once he learns, to sign checks, spend funds. Last year you didn't pass the budget until November. Shame on you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Ramirez. I've called a couple of times to Richard Garland, the traffic engineer, about my signal on 223rd. No return calls. I've come here to see him. He's not available. but also on Avalon, there's a signal by Ralph's. That cut up pretty fast. I've been waiting for months. We have special aid children that have to cross that street early in the morning and later in the afternoon. The mother almost got hit by one of those cars because there was a semi blocking the view of the driver. Now there's children that are getting off of buses, the city bus, to go to this special aid school over on 223rd. I don't think we want a lawsuit. Please get that signal there. We cannot get in or out of our street because of those semis. We can't see around them. And also, why don't we have the utility tax on TV? We have the Park and Rec here, and that's so important to the residents. We want to know what's going on. Please, let them be seen on TV. You have programs going that we see constantly. I don't know, there's so much I want to say that is pathetic with what's going on in this city. Please, help the people. Oh, yes, and it was street cleaning on our street. There was 2 cars that did not move. There was no patrol behind the sweep cleaner to give them a ticket. There's cigarette butts. They changed their oil. Our neighborhood's going to pots. The fence by 405 has been down for over 3 months. I've called and wanted it fixed. There's dogs going up there. You're going to have accidents more on that freeway. What are we to do? We don't get any help from our people that work here. They're not responding. It's terrible. Don't make this city go down the dumps.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, can you see to it that Mr. Garland returns Ms. Ramirez's phone call and meets with her this week at her earliest convenience?
Yes, we'll take care of that.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'm here to address the issue that on June 2nd, when my friend and I went to the polling place, that actually we had gotten literature telling us where we were going to go, the South Bay Pavilion for voting. We had forgotten our booklets, so I called the city of Carson to find out what suite it was going to be in. At that time, the girl was looking for the suite number. In mid-sentence, she had already told us it was at the South Bay Pavilion. Halfway through her sentence, she tells me, oh, no, wait, that's been changed. You're voting at the community center. If we hadn't called, we would have been lost all night long. We wouldn't have known where to go. So, I mean, I will give people the benefit of the doubt. When people start a new job, you have to get used to it. But how can you be so erroneous in so many occasions? I mean, there's so few people that vote as it is. The people that actually take it as a mandate to go out and exercise their right to vote, you should make it as easy as possible for them to do so. And I felt that night was a disservice to the people of Carson and to the democratic process in whole. Now, the thing is, tonight you presented us with a team that went and represented Carson. And I'm proud of that team. They got something for us. They did something for us. Those are the kind of people that we need in Carson. Those are the people we have in Carson. And those are the people that you're representing. So when you make these decisions as to, who you're going to let handle the elections, you got to make sure that that's the person that has the most experience and can do it. Now, the issue here is that we're holding ballots that have not been counted. And they need to be counted. We shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to find out who's going to sit in one of those seats. We need effective leadership now. This city is poised to expand at an exponential rate. We've got so much development coming in here. We've got the idea of a football team, 2 football teams coming in. We need those seats filled. We need people that are effective leaders. And we need you to step up. We need those ballots counted now. And we need to have whoever won that election sitting up there at the next city council meeting. Okay? So,
Your time's up. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Roy Love. I've been a volunteer in this city for almost 40 years. I've chaired the Environmental Commission for over 10, vice chair of the Human Relations Commission, vice chair of the Economic Development Commission on the first interracial council for the city of Carson, and volunteered on numerous committees. But since all of that time, I've never had any problems with any mayor, with any members of the city, except right now I want to report a real problem I've had with the mayor, the current mayor. The current mayor, you see, I also was appointed as part of a diverse group of the partnership Joint Powers group, okay? So you had 5 people. But for whatever reason, whatever arbitrary reason he had, he decided that I shouldn't be on there anymore. So he made sure that I was eliminated from the Environmental Commission. And then he used that excuse to say, well, as a result, we're going to take you also from the Joint Powers Authority. So I'm saying you can't, and he had no reason, had no real reason. And frankly, we had a diverse group until I got locked out. Now it's no longer that totally diverse. What I'm saying is not only that, then I was shocked at a meeting we had earlier today. At the last meeting that I attended when I was on the Joint Powers Authority, we had a fair election for vice president. Then this mayor walks, and even though the bylaws say you only hold 1 election a year, he decided that now that he's appointed somebody new to replace me, that this time, then he's going to hold another election. Of course, with it being 3-2, and he got his way. I'm saying we really have a dangerous person up here calling themselves being the mayor. You guys have no idea. I believe he's ruthless, and you can see around. But hey, in my case, they didn't even give me anything in writing. Nothing in writing that I'm gone, even though all the years I've done and also being the chair. He didn't give me anything, just decided that, boom, you're gone. And the same thing with that election, which is totally illegal. I think if you don't curb him, he's going to cause us to have a lot of lawsuits. Matter of fact, that commission I'm supposed to be on, everybody was supposed to have the same powers and authority. Well, hey, he decided, forget about that. He's going to call the shot. So he really had no authority to remove me, but he did anyway. People just accepted that. So I'm saying it's very dangerous, and I've never seen anyone like this. If we want a democracy, if we want to stay here, then we've definitely got to hold this mayor, make him accountable, because he is out of control.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Patrick Perry. I'm here on behalf of the South Bay Pavilion, and I have a more mundane concern than what's been expressed here so far this evening. I'm here to speak on...
If you're here to speak on the
item
hearing...
number 14.
I believe it's a noticed hearing, and...
It's on consent.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And what I'm requesting is that you pull that off the consent calendar and continue that to a date uncertain. We received a draft of that agreement less than a week ago. The city attorney placed it on tonight's agenda before we had an opportunity to provide comments on that agreement. The comments that we had are substantial. We've not had an opportunity to follow up with the city attorney with respect to that, to come to terms that would be agreeable with respect to that agreement. We're not opposed to the agreement to enter into the fair share for the additional security. It's just that the terms of the agreement as currently drafted are not acceptable, and I feel that it's going to take some time in order for us to come to an agreement. So therefore, we're asking for the additional time. I'm available for questions if you want to call the item later, but I won't take up any more of your time at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, City Council. I'm here to speak on item 30, and it's more of a statement I'd like to make. In all the time I've seen the new development going on, nobody has ever questioned development staff.
Well, number 30 is noticed as a public hearing, so you can speak on it now, or you can wait until the item is called, because for public comment, for public hearings, testimony is taken from sworn witnesses, but you're welcome to speak on it right now if you
Okay, I'd like to.
Go ahead, you may continue.
To put another unit that size would possibly bring in 3,000 people in a half a mile, more like 2/10 of a mile. The congestion right now is so bad, and that project next to Ralph's is not even done yet. So we don't even see the impact of what that's going to have before you're making another venture in a giant building. That's all I got to say on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. What did you said if I wanted to stick around for it to come up?
Yes, later on in the evening. So at that point, anybody who wishes to speak on any noticed hearing will be sworn in, and then they will be allowed to provide testimony.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mayor, City Council.
Yes.
I'm here. It's
okay. Go ahead.
Oh, my name is John Villa. I live at Park Avalon.
Yes.
I'm here on the construction of the new property where the mobile's at, or Chevron. I hope the city makes whatever.
Again, I just want to make, you're more than welcome to speak on it now, but that item is noticed as a public hearing, and and at that point, residents can testify under oath.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead if you'd like.
Mine's more of a question to City Council. Is due to, are you guys following through with the developers corresponding with the residents surrounding that development? Because the City Center South facility, which is Gateway and Renaissance, okay, nobody followed up on our property damages. Okay, that's my whole deal, because I feel the residents in that community, surrounding community where that's at, should be warned. Take pictures of your property because you will have damages. Okay, and nobody at City of Carson did anything for us. I hope the city warns the surrounding community about that. That's all.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Jim Roberts. I'm with TriStar Risk Management, and I'm sorry I'm speaking tonight with respect to item number 34 on the agenda, the awarding of a 3-year contract for workers' compensation third-party administration. We are the incumbent third-party administrator, TriStar Risk Management, and we have had a very successful relationship with the City of Carson for the last 7 years, since 2008. I would like to draw your attention to an attachment to the agenda, work comp settlement account savings 2015-466, which shows, and this is a exhibit prepared by the by staff, showing that since 2008 there's been a consistent reduction in workers' compensation costs, and also a consistent coming in under budget. We feel that a true cost benefit analysis would possibly yield a different ultimate determination. We feel that the too much weight was given to just workers' compensation administrative fees, which, albeit we were not the lowest, based on the City of Carson's annual spend on workers' compensation. However, there are lots of other cost considerations in terms of comp costs going out, also other fee considerations, and we think that once that analysis has taken place, TriStar might actually be the low-cost bidder. So I would like to urge that item 34 be continued for further consideration. Regardless of your decision, however, I would also like to say that it's been a pleasure and a privilege to serve the City of Carson for the last 7 years. We would love to continue as the city's third-party administrator. However, regardless, I would just like to thank you for the past 7 years and the relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. My name is Miriam Vasquez, and I'm a resident of Carson for 50 years. And I'm here to make a complaint. Like you see, I didn't stand in line like those ladies complain about it. It's not very nice to be standing in line, especially in a chamber. So we need to be sit down. We are ladies. We are here for a reason, and we should not pay the pain to be standing there. Well, another thing that bring me here today, because I'm fed up what's going on in the city of Carson. I'm sick and tired that when I come to the city hall for a very important reason, I be asked to move out here in the chamber when there was your swearing ceremony. They want me to sit on outside in a conference room, and I disagree, and I say I have the same right that other people to sit down in here. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a voter, and a resident of Carson. That was once. Another time, they didn't let me into the city hall for the public safety. Today, I came here because I need to talk to your representative. And I was kicked out of the office because Monera Gabino was in there. And she is a Filipino. And they took me out of there. I'm a resident of Carson for many years. I'm a senior citizen. I pay my taxes. And she is with a student visa. And she got a restraining me with all liars. And she lied to the attorney, to the judge, saying that she lived here for 10 years. And that is a very bad thing to do, to lie to a judge. And she only was here for a couple years. And she's working in the city of Carson, getting $67,000 a year. What is this? Because it's under the umbrella Ilito Santarina. Enough is enough. There's a lot of people under his umbrella working in the city hall. I don't accept this anymore. I'm sick and tired of what's going on in here. I have a voice. I represent my community, the Latino community. We don't have Latino working here except to clean the city hall and the community center. Enough is enough. I hope to tonight that woman will be out. I have more right to be here than her. Okay, I pay my taxes. I'm a resident, I'm a taxpayer, and before I came here to live, this chamber wasn't here, so I contribute to the money for this place.
Your time is up. Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. I was. Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fitzclarty Bovell, employed for the City of Carson. First of all, I want to say to all of the ladies here tonight, you look beautiful. So the reason I'm here, because I have to thank Cesar Rambo, Maria Slaughter, Ms. Gail Dixon, Anthony Rocco, Fred Losa, and everyone that's involved with the union. We have a tyrant in the corporate yard. His name is Christopher Ortiz. This gentleman made a comment in the presence of the union trying to resolve a simple problem that, Mr. Bovell, I don't want to see you even close to me or anywhere in the office or the hallway because I feel threatened by you. Now, I ask myself, what do you mean by that? My color? My intelligence, the Negro, the slave, apartheid. What did he mean by that? So here I am thinking I'm dealing with an ignorant person that has no respect towards another human being. And the worst thing about it, he has disrespected every lady that works at the corporate yard. And that hurts me. So I'm asking the city and the city manager to please have a video available. The date is 6/11/15, so Ms. Slaughter can see Mr. Ortiz in action, the way he tries to belittle me, degrade me, and so forth. And all I have to say to Mr. Christopher Ortiz, today is your year. You know why, Ms. Ortiz? You just read a real man that you cannot control. I am a real man, Ms. Ortiz, and don't you ever forget that. And another reason I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Ortiz is trying to provoke me into a physical confrontation. And all I can say, if anything happens, you can't say you weren't told. So that's the reason I'm here tonight, and I have to congratulate the management staff for trying to resolve this gentleman's behavior. And before I leave, all I have to say to all of the fathers here tonight, happy Father's Day. Remain as beautiful as you are, just like me, and enjoy life.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, members of the City Council, staff members. When I was very young, in church, there was a song we sang very often, and it said, Lord, I'm troubled about my soul. Some of you may have heard your grandparents sing that song. Tonight, I'm troubled about my city. I walked the streets, my husband, my neighbors, and I, with Dr. Gil Smith, to gather signatures for the incorporation of this city. I don't think I've ever seen the city in such a disarray as it is today. I don't know why that exists, but I feel that our city officials, those people on City Council that we voted into office, need to look into the concerns of the citizens of our city. Now, there's a book that says, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are true, think on those things. I want to think on some of those. Councilwoman Holmes, I want to thank you for your planning and that outstanding Juneteenth event that was held this past Saturday. Somebody on my commission asked, what is Juneteenth? Why do we celebrate Juneteenth? And of course I had to explain to them that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed. All of the states, I think, in the United States were honoring that proclamation. The city of Texas chose not to honor it until 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed. And when the people found out, they celebrated. That's why we still celebrate that Emancipation Proclamation. So thank you, Councilwoman, for reminding us that we need to appreciate our ancestors, we need to appreciate our families, we need to appreciate all of our friends and the people in our city and in this country who are still contributing to justice in this country. Another thank you, I would like to thank Cedric and his team for representing our city so well that we received that award of All American City. You know, you never know when you have
Councilwoman, thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening to the mayor and to the city council and to our God in which we trust. I come today to ask you to not to have our older people or anyone standing in line. I totally agree that even if we have to give them the front row seats, I believe that would be appropriate for them. I also come to you today to ask if you can represent all people inside of your city. We, the National Day of Prayer, as Mayor Pro Tem Elito Santorina said at the National Day of Prayer, that we welcome the Gentiles and the Jews, and that means all races. So when we look at North Carson, it should be represented well. When we look at South Side, it should be represented well. When we look at the center of anything, it should be represented well. I believe that the Word of God say that He created everything. And in everything He created, there is good. So I do come to you to ask you on behalf of our Lord and Jesus Christ, in which we put all of our trust, that if we can represent the city well, and as a representative of the pastors inside of this community, we want you to know that we are praying for you, and we ask you to really seek God and to lean not unto your own understanding, but in all of thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. So on behalf of the West Coast National Day of Prayer, I do thank you for your support, and also everyone's in greeting from the West Coast. So once again, we represent all people inside of the city. God bless you and God thank you. And also a very special guest that I have brought with me today is from out in the Temecula, and that is Carrie. So Carrie, can you please stand as I walk back to my seat? Once again, Cedric, thank you so much for standing in with me as I enter in. God bless you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. I think the residents of Carson deserve respect. And the person that is working here and lied to the judge, I think that's perjury, and she should be taken out. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. As a resident, Carson, for 30 plus years, I am now a mom who is who has the opportunity to raise her children here. They are part of the Parks and Recs, and they play on the softball teams, basketball teams, and the different leagues. At the moment, our online systems are not automated, meaning that if there's any scores that they take or the umpires take, if the scorecards are not turned in, our children do not know where their standing is amongst the league. And it takes a long time to prepare for the championship. I had spoken to the park superintendent as well as, I can't call his name. I will get his name for you. Excuse me. No, not Frank. Not Frank. I will get that. But he stated that there has been a suggestion that this be online and that there has been a starting of that. So I'd like to see that happen for our children so that they can prepare for the finals and that they know their correct standing versus waiting on the umpires. My second thing that I'd like to speak about is the election on June 2nd, Mr. Deere. I think it's appalling that several days after the election, we do not have a second count of the ballots, nor do we have all outstanding ballots memorialized in written format. I am still a bit concerned about what the delay is. This certainly leads to the speculation and raises fears of the election vault being stuffed with ballots, especially after the incident that occurred on Saturday. The fears have been heightened since the chief elections official, the city clerk, appeared as an endorser in campaign mailers for candidates in this race. You should be neutral, city clerk. This is a special election with 50 to 75% less ballots than a regular election. I am still confused as to why there has not been the second counting. I was at the meeting on Friday. On Friday, there was supposed to be someone to oversee the counting. I came in on Monday at 11 a.m. so that I can witness the counting and was told again that it was postponed until Wednesday. I met with you, city clerk, on Monday to find out why it had been delayed again, and you stated to me that it was because you were not there on the meeting on Friday. I asked you where you were, and you said you were at UC Riverside, and it was all a part of the plan. I asked you what the plan was, and you said, so that I can do my duties as city clerk. As residents, we have elected you, or you have been elected, and your sole job should be to make sure that the election is taken care of and that it is done with integrity. It has not been thus far. I read in the Daily Breeze today that we would have the second count on Wednesday. I am hoping that this will be done and it will.
Your time is up. Thank you. There's no one else lined up. Seeing no other public speakers, we're going to go ahead and continue with the rest of the agenda. At this time,